Okay. Okay. Hello, how's everyone doing? Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Whoa. Huh. That was a no. That didn't go well there. Sorry, Fernando. It's more of a war game, Lewis. But in Ace Combat. In Ace Combat, you can in Ace Combat you can do some pretty bad things in the game. There's some choices in the games that you can do. Hello, sir. It's a fine night. I think you are going to do Zero lore, but I'm curious. Are you going to do Stretch lore and analysis, or somebody from Bully Universe? I'm going to do Zero lore, and then I might do Stretch. Hey, Nicholas. Thank you for sponsoring my channel for 2 months. Thanks, dude. Hey, Akon. Thanks for coming by. It's possible GTA 6 might go on sale around Black Friday. How was the video of TGG? Oh, it was pretty good. Oh, thank you, Lewis. Yeah, that mission, that final bouncer mission was something else. I haven't decided on that if I'm gonna play solo Wildlands or not. Okay, let me see here. Where's the first business? Here. Can you say happy birthday to my friend Jaden Parker? Well, happy birthday to your friend Jaden Parker. Thank you, Lax, for the super chat. Hey, Pro, I've been a member for 3 months, and I have one question. Have you ever played the Nintendo games? I've played on the Nintendo GameCube, and I played on the Switch when I was a, or not the Switch, the Wii. I never played on the Switch, I played on the Wii. But these I played at friends' houses. However, though, the only Nintendo system I ever owned was the Game Boy. Game Boy, and then Game Boy Advance SP I owned. You're streaming way early? Yeah, I wanted to start pretty early today. Oh, thank you, Omni Kenny. I'm right outside, so you can activate the sail. Fixated, I want you to take this helicopter and just fly to your next business with it, okay? When you start this, just fly to your next business with it. Pro, I appreciate the dress up you do. I like it. Well, thank you. Thank you, dude. Turning 21 on Wednesday. Happy early birthday, Pearson. Yeah, everything's okay, Darkosh. If I'm reading your name correctly. Wait, is somebody not here? Okay, yes, I played Far Cry 2. It's actually my favorite Far Cry game. I do want to do a playthrough of it. Do you think GTA 6 will have crossplay? Probably with Xbox, I don't know if PC. Though, I'm not against having crossplay with PC, but I would like to see an option that you could turn it off. So, like, if you want to turn off crossplay with PC, you should be able to also. Not really, Aaron. And what's your PSN, Trippy? Pro, I want to consider doing Uber Eats delivery, but my parents think it's too risky because there's a lot of people my age that are doing it. I'm 22 years old. How do you think I should go about this? What do you mean your parents think it's too risky? What, like that it's dangerous? Is that what? Like, you gotta explain the risky part though. Because he knew he knew who he was getting involved with. He knew that Lincoln was gonna do a lot of the things that he did, and he still got involved with him, Aaron. I watched a video from TGG. Oh, yeah. Did you like it? We had a bit of fun with that video. Loved your latest GTA video. Thank you. You should buy all the cars the last week before GTA 6 comes out. What's spending all my money? Maybe we could do something like that. Yeah, that it's dangerous. Well, look, here's what I will say, is every single job has risks. It does. But I don't know if, like, I understand that they're your parents, but at the end of the day, you know, you're a 22-year-old man. You know, you have the right to make that decision if you want. Uh, but you know, and I don't know if this would you know ease your mind, but like you know, people that say that like working for like Uber Eats, for example, is dangerous, but you could make the argument that like working in retail is just as dangerous because you have the chance of getting robbed. You could be on the cash register and somebody could try to rob you. So, you know, there's always that risk. But, like, some people, they act like, oh, you know, if you work in a place like retail, you're safe, nothing will happen. I've seen a lot of dangerous people in retail. I haven't seen a robbery happen, thankfully, but I've seen some pretty aggressive people in retail. So, that is, so every single job, basically, at the end of the day, has some risks to it. It's not like there's no risks. There is. But this idea that, like, you shouldn't do Uber Eats because it's, like, dangerous and something bad is going to happen to you, I wouldn't, like, you know, I wouldn't buy into that too much. You know, just be careful around the advice I would give you is be careful around the time that you're working, because if you work at night, you're much more likely to be the victim of a crime. That's just general statistics. Most crimes happen at night. The other thing is be careful the neighborhoods that you deliver to. If it's like a dangerous neighborhood, then you don't have to, you know, deliver there. So that's I mean, that's ways that you can minimize your risk too. You almost got robbed at gunpoint in retail. I'm sorry, Wan, I'm sorry that you went through that. Oh, thank you, James. How's my day? My day was good. How was your day? No, GTA 4 remaster isn't happening. It's not. You know, GTA 6 has what 8 months until release. No, we're not getting a GTA 4 remaster. It's not going to happen. Maybe we'll get it on the 20-year anniversary. Maybe they'll do that. Because the 20-year anniversary will be in 2 years from now. But I don't think so. That will be tomorrow, Minion. Yeah. I'm gonna rewatch the entire series when I get the chance again, Ferris. If I had a gaming PC, would I enjoy playing GTA Online on PC, and would I do it in the future? I have a gaming PC. I can play GTA Online on PC if I want to, but I've always been a console guy. I'm just used to playing on console. This is what I play on. Have I ever played Resident Evil games? Yeah, some of them, but not a lot. I mean, the last Resident Evil game I think I played was Operation Raccoon City. That was on PS3. That was some time ago, but yeah, I did play that one, I remember. Will I play Wolverine? Possibly. When is it coming out? Hey JBK, how are you doing? I do like Ghost of Yotei Legends. It is fun. Red Ben Clemson can be a nightmare to do, yeah. Very difficult bounty. What happened to Shadow Company after the Modern Warfare 2 original? They never really answered it. I'm assuming they disbanded it afterwards, after General Shepard died. Okay. I might as well just head up there then. Well, I will start, uploading GTA 6 immediately when it, comes out. What are your thoughts on Modern Warfare 2019 comeback? Huge Steam sales of the game, and it got to 50,000 last night on Steam charts. 7-year-old game is destroying Black Ops 7. Well, I'm not surprised by that. Black Ops 7 is just a terrible game. Hey, Ali. How are you doing, dude? Will I 100% GTA 6? Oh yeah, 100%, yeah, definitely. No, yeah, Modern Warfare, 4 is coming out this year. I wonder what that's gonna be like. I think they'll release it probably 1 month before. I think they're gonna release it 1 month before GTA 6. They'll probably release it in October. That's probably when. No, I'm in a friend session here. Hey, Pro, I have a question to ask you. Do you believe that serial killers are born or raised in a terrible environment? Well, virtually almost every single serial killer has some form of mental problems, some severe mental problems. But serial killers, they can grow up in abusive households, which is common. There's some kind of dysfunctional household. But, serial killers can also grow up in households where there isn't a dysfunction. They could just have issues from a young age. But also, not every single serial killer, for example, kills for no reason. When people think of a serial killer, they think of someone that just, killing for no reason. But somebody who, mass kills people, for example, for, money and stuff like that, could still be counted as a serial killer. For example, there was this famous serial killer in Chicago called H.H. Holmes. He was, the most dangerous serial killer in all of Illinois. And H.H. Holmes was not killing people for no reason. What he did was he basically had, a fake hotel that he ran. And what he would do is he would lure people into the hotels, and he would kill them and basically just rob them and just take all their stuff. He would have, trap doors and stuff like that in his hotel. Pretty disturbing guy. And he also did insurance fraud, where he would get their insurance payments. I don't know how he managed to do that, but I know whenever he would kill people, he would collect their insurance money. So he would do that. He would pose. I think he would pose as a family member or something like that. I think that's what he would do. So eventually he got caught and executed. There was also this there was also this serial killer that she was a nursing home assistant. And what she was doing is she was slowly poisoning elderly people. I think it was rat poison that she was giving to elderly people over time and just killing them off. And a lot of these old people, they would die and they wouldn't really do an autopsy, so people would think, oh, they died of old age. But the reason that the woman was doing that was there was some kind of scam where the nursing home would get a payout you know, every single time somebody died. I think it was part of their insurance or something like that. It's like every single time a patient died, they would get like some kind of payout. And so she was doing that just to boost the amount of money for the nursing home. But she counted as a serial killer. So that is it. So not all serial killers are always like these, you know, deranged people that are going around just murdering for absolutely no reason. Well, the Iceman is considered a serial killer. I mean, he is. He was a hitman, but he's a serial killer. I mean, hitmen are serial killers when you think about it. They are. You know, Agent 47, for example, in the Hitman series, is a serial killer. You know, he might only kill the targets, but he's killed multiple people. So he is, technically. It was morphine she was using. Oh, it was morphine. Okay, so that was that. So you know the case that I was talking about.
You doing this?
Take the helicopter and fly to your next business. Fixated. Why did Germany want to ban shotguns during World War I? Well, it was stupid. Because America was really the only country that used shotguns on a mass scale. I mean, soldiers did bring shotguns into World War I, but it was America who really used them on a massive scale. And shotguns were the Winchester 1897 was modeled specifically with a shorter barrel and a bayonet to be able to use in trench warfare, and it turned out to be very effective. So the Winchester 1897 was very effective in trench warfare, and the Germans hated that so much that they started considering it a war crime to use it. But it's kind of ironic considering if they were using gas that they would complain about something like that. Yeah, Iceman was a pretty disturbing person, Zach. What did the trench raiders do in World War I? They were a form of special forces. You know, they would go into trenches with close-quarter weapons, shotguns, you know, handguns, clubs, bayonets, and they would try to clear them out. Bike Glide? Wait, do you mean like with the Oppressor? Will GTA 6 be available on PS4? No. Am I married? No. What's one unannounced feature that you want the most in GTA 6? An unannounced feature? Maybe like, I don't know if you would call it like a feature, but like just a really good video game economy. A really good one. Like a lot of stuff to buy in the economy. Yeah, if we get a DMZ mode with Modern Warfare 4, I might do like DMZ guides, because I do play a lot of DMZ, and I was considering making some guides on DMZ, you know, back in the day, but then when they cut support for it, I never bothered with it. No, I don't, Shiny Knight. How are you going to try to manage your GTA 6 content if your other playthroughs? Well, it's going to be difficult. I will do other games also eventually, but like when GTA 6 comes out for those first few months, we're going to be doing nothing but GTA 6, really. I guess he's just dodging a lot here, but he might fall off the truck. I've seen clips of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. No, I didn't know that, Aaron. Make sure you cut left across the highway here, Casey. You can save a lot of time. Yeah, there you go. You can save 30 seconds on the drive by cutting across there. Back to the old roots, eh? Not necessarily, because I will still do like other games and stuff like that. But when GTA 6 comes out, I'm gonna be so busy with that we're gonna be doing just the story alone on GTA 6. Like posting the story is probably gonna take me 2 months to post the entire story, because it's gonna probably be multiple parts that I'm gonna post. Probably like 50 or more parts, depending on how long the story is for GTA 6. So like, you know, you post a part every single day, it's probably gonna be close to 2 months. 100% completion? Well, the 100% completion I'll probably save for live streams.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, Casey, yeah, I saw Chuck Norris passed away. Yeah, Ace Combat Zero is gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna be doing that on Tuesday. What are your predictions for GTA 6 story mode? That Lucia and Jason are gonna end up leaving Vice City. And the reason they're gonna end up leaving Vice City is because you're gonna need a reason to get across the map. That's the thing about that. I mean, think about GTA 5 for example. Like they did that story with Trevor kidnapping Patricia, and because of that, Michael had to leave town and go to Sandy Shores. So like they're gonna do something like that because it wouldn't make sense for like Jason to drive all the way from like Vice City to Gloriana, which is the state of Georgia. So they're probably gonna do some kind of story where something goes wrong and they're probably gonna have to leave town. That's probably at least what I think is going to happen. They're going to need a reason to explore the map. Like, think about San Andreas. Like, CJ had to leave town because Big Smoke, betrayed him, and Sweet got arrested, so CJ had to flee. So I think they're going to have something like that in GTA 6. They're going to need to leave town for a reason. I don't know what, but something's going to go wrong. If you were a betting man, would you say Michael or Franklin will make an appearance in GTA 6? Not Michael. No. I can't. Michael's going to be retired. So, no, I cannot picture Michael. No, I don't think so. Franklin, maybe, perhaps, if he has maybe some kind of business contacts in Vice City, but I think that Jimmy is the most likely to appear because, Amanda said that, our son moved out, so that's probably going to happen, is Jimmy's probably going to be the one that's going to make an appearance. Well, we don't really know that. People are saying that Lucia abandoned her baby, but I don't know if I believe that. Thank you, Random Fist, for the super chat. I see him, Shiny Knight. Is vehicle, cargo, and the one crate method still okay? When you say one crate method, what are you talking about, like, to rank up? If you're talking about to rank up, it's good. Vehicle, cargo, yeah, I mean, you can combine it with other things, but... Thank you, Jeremiah. Should the clickbaiters be banned from doing GTA 6 content in YouTube as their punishment for milking fake leaks? Oh, that would be, that'd be hilarious if they wouldn't be able to post GTA 6 videos, but something like that isn't going to happen, unfortunately. Here's what I will say to you. I do have a solution to end clickbait on YouTube. You know what my solution is to end it? The thing about that is that if you ban clickbait, that might create a moderation problem because there's just so many things that could be mistaken for clickbait, and some people make videos for fun, jokes and stuff like that might be counted as clickbait, and that might get them in trouble. For example, on April Fools, I do a clickbait video every single year. So every single April Fools, I do one clickbait video, and that's on purpose because it's a joke. But what I would suggest to do to end clickbait, my suggestion is do exactly what Twitter did. You know how on Twitter, when somebody makes a statement on Twitter, they post something, and then you have those little community notes right at the bottom? Something like that? I think that they should have those community notes at the bottom of videos on YouTube. So if somebody posts some stupid GTA 6 leak and says oh, this is going to be the size of the map or something like that, the community note might say this is coming from an unreliable source and there's no proof on the map being this size. And what they could do is they could add an extra section under that community notes, and it could say this channel has been accused of clickbaiting several times, or this channel has been accused by many of clickbaiting. Many users have complained about this channel clickbaiting, something like that. Like, you know, if you post like a community note like that, a lot of people would see that, and then the YouTubers couldn't block that. It would be right under their video. A lot of people would immediately click off, and they wouldn't watch that channel anymore. So that's what I would say is like put in a little community notes stuff, and that would I think that would really help to fight clickbait. And that community notes feature that Twitter did is actually some of the best things that I've seen them do, because there's so many people that post misinformation on Twitter, and like you've seen so many people that get corrected by the community notes. What's going on with Fallout 3 Remaster? I have no idea, dude. Everyone keeps talking about it, but we haven't seen any proof. People were saying, oh, it's going to come out in November, and November passed, nothing happened. It's been, you know, 5 months since November. Can I give you a fun video idea? Sure, Mystical, what is it? Grok is a separate AI thing, but I guess it's part of the community notes. Oh yeah, the final bouncer mission was really annoying. Yeah. What's wrong, Visionary? And yeah, you could text me. What are my thoughts on GTA 6 Online? I'm gonna make a video this week talking about it, but basically my thoughts on it. I think that with GTA 6 Online, I think that it should focus on role playing. Like, choose a role. For example, you choose a role and you fulfill that role. You, like, for example, like a biker, maybe like a drug trafficker, drug smuggler, maybe like a hitman, and you play for that role. And this gives you like different abilities, you know, missions and stuff like that. I would like to see that. Pro, I'm aware of the dangers of Uber Eats, and I've told my parents that, Pro. I told them I still want to do the job, but they are saying I'm not listening to them, and I'm just ignoring everything they say. Well, look, no disrespect to your parents, but you're 22 years old, and if you want to work for Uber Eats, you can do that. So, you know, your parents can criticize that all they want, but you're not a child anymore, you're an adult. So you have the freedom to make that decision if you want. And if your parents are, like, telling you not to do Uber Eats, they're saying, like, oh, it's so dangerous, like, just ask them, then what do you suggest? Like, you know, what should I do instead? Are they giving you, like, alternatives? Are they giving you something else that you could do instead? Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to make money. And that's a good, as a young person, you trying to make money, it's a good thing. It's a good thing you're thinking about making money, and you're thinking about what you can do to make money. That's a good thing. It's a good trait to have. How is the GTA Jeopardy with TGG? Oh, it was fun. Well, thank you, Mr. Master Boy. Thank you, dude. Yeah, but here's the thing is, if Watch Dogs Legion gets a director's cut and they only add like a few new missions, but they don't actually update the online, I'm not really going to care about it. Because if all they do is just re-release the game with a few extra things, I don't know. I don't think I'd really care that much. I'd like to see it actually have more stuff being added over time. Are you finally done with Yakuza? There's going to be one more final part for Kiryu. There's the Majima storyline, but what I'm probably going to do is, I'll probably save the Majima storyline for a little bit in April, because I'm going to do Ace Combat Zero and 50 Cent on Blood in the Sand soon. What's the possibility of GTA 6 getting delayed? Almost zero. It's not going to happen. It's coming out this year. This November, it's coming out. You better believe it. It's coming out this time. Are my comments appearing? Yeah, I see your comments, JBK. Do you think GTA 6 will have a military base? Oh, of course. It's Florida. There's a lot of air bases in Florida, so yeah, they're gonna have it. Why do toxic families exist? Usually, here's the thing is, when somebody is toxic, not in every single situation, but when somebody is toxic, it's usually in I found that the reason that they're toxic comes down to two reasons. The first reason is either A, they have some of their own personal issues and they like to take it out on everyone else, and because of that they just have a negative attitude. Like, there was somebody I knew like that, who had like his own personal issues and would just constantly take it out on everyone and would always snap at everyone and give everyone an attitude because he was, had some personal problems going on. And that's fine, you have your personal problems going on, I'm sad for you, but it's not an excuse to take it out on everyone else. Second reason that I've noticed people are toxic is, this is one of the more common ones, is that people don't know how to mind their own business. People that are usually toxic have some kind of superiority complex to them, where they think that they're better and smarter and just overall better than other people, and so they feel the need to interfere in other people's lives. They don't know how to mind their own business. Narcissists, basically. So you have people like that. So that's usually the two reasons I see that people are toxic, is either they have their own personal issues going on and they decide to take it out on everyone else, or they just don't know how to mind their own business and like getting involved in other people's affairs. Night mode? What's night mode? New content and new motion capture work? Huh. But are they going to update the online for the Watch Dogs Director's Cut? Let me see here. Top 10 biggest, most evil criminal organizations in video games. That would be a fun video to watch, and you can explain both video game lore and real life lore. Yeah, maybe top 10 biggest, most evil criminal organizations in video games. I want to do my video eventually, a top 10 most evil criminals in crime games. If a YouTuber you're collaborating with has drama going on, do you avoid them? No, I mean, it really depends on the situation. Here's the thing is, there are YouTubers that I know that have been involved in drama, and my perspective on this is whenever there's drama, I just stay completely out of it. I don't take sides. I just try to stay out of that stuff. So I don't talk on anything publicly. I just don't get involved in that. I'm not a drama channel. I don't like doing that, so I just stay away from that. Let me see here. Professional, will you ever watch Narcos to see the history of Pablo Escobar? Yeah, I might watch that TV show one day. I know Narcos also has a video game on the PlayStation Store. Thank you, Caliber, for the super chat. You look like you could use a pork bun. I remember that and watched in Sleeping Dogs. What would you do if your half-siblings found out that you're a YouTuber and want to reconcile their relationship with you? Well, the thing is, if they would want to reconcile their relationship with me solely because I'm a YouTuber, that does not show that they're sorry. So no, I don't ever see that honestly happening. Were you a fan of Chuck Norris? Yeah, when I was a kid, I watched Walker, Texas Ranger. I also watched the Delta Force movies that he did in the 1980s. I did watch some of those. I remember there was this one Chuck Norris movie that I watched. I forget the name of it. Somebody might remember the movie name, but he in the movie he plays as like he's like some American Special Forces guy in Vietnam, so he's like some Vietnam veteran that's like Special Forces, and like the U.S. ends up evacuating from Vietnam, and his wife, who's Vietnamese, she ends up staying in Vietnam, and then he goes to Vietnam to try to save her, and he like gets captured by the North Vietnamese. I forget the name of the movie, but I saw that movie like a year and a half ago. It was recommended to me in a YouTube video, and I watched it, but there was that one too. That's the name of the movie, Zach? Missing in Action, was it? Okay, it was Missing in Action. How do you deal with the inevitability of death from your perspective? Is it something you think about? Yes, sometimes. Sometimes I think about that. I think that's come across everybody's mind. I think if somebody thinks about... I think that if somebody says they never thought about death, I think that they're lying to you. I think every single person has thought about that. But, you know, I don't really know how to answer that question. It's just, you know, the scary thing is, you know, it could, you know, it's just so, sometimes it's just so unexpected and stuff like that. And, but the things that I've always, you know, thought about potentially like an afterlife and stuff like that. That's generally what I've sometimes thought about when I thought about that issue. I know, Liskif. I just didn't get the chance to respond. No, I didn't, Christine. Thank you for the super chat. I didn't get my phone fixed yet. Okay.
It's sale day. Okay.
What happens to your phone again? The silent button doesn't work anymore. So like, you know, the button to put it on silent, I have to, you know, do it in the settings now. Was Truman's containment a better way to combat communism? Yeah, I mean, Truman did a lot of good as president. I do think you know, if you were to ask me who I think America's most underrated president would be, it would probably be Truman. You know, Truman was generally a great president, and what I like about Truman is he was really the first American president to basically put his foot down and said no more to the Soviets. So that's what I like about Truman, because the problem with Roosevelt, which Roosevelt was Truman's predecessor, Roosevelt sucked up to Stalin way too much. He just gave in to Stalin's demands way too much, and Truman put his foot down and said no more of this. Also, the really funny thing about Truman is that Truman was not when Truman was pissed, he would not use formal language at all. So he was not a very formal person. Is when Truman was pissed off at somebody, he would curse them out if he was pissed off at someone. Now, Truman actually cursed out the Soviet foreign minister. It caused a diplomatic incident. But I will tell you this: when Truman cursed out the Soviet foreign minister Molotov, he 100% deserved that. So everything that Truman said to him, he 100% deserved that. Everything. So that was I remember that was a diplomatic incident that happened. That was like in the late 40s when that happened. But that was but everything that Truman pretty much said was true in that. Depends on how you view him when he fired MacArthur. Well, the thing about that is MacArthur kind of deserved to get fired, because MacArthur was going to basically going to cause nuclear devastation around the world. Now look, MacArthur was a really good general in World War II, and he also had MacArthur's greatest accomplishment MacArthur's greatest accomplishment was rebuilding Japan. That was his greatest accomplishment. It wasn't even a victory. It was actually rebuilding Japan, because MacArthur is responsible for modern-day democracy in Japan. Modern-day democracy in Japan exists because of MacArthur. MacArthur was responsible for that system. And MacArthur did not punish the Japanese. He didn't do reprisals against them. He didn't have American troops, go and massacre, civilians. So he did a lot of good in rebuilding Japan. There's a reason that the Japanese have a very positive view of MacArthur, because he did a lot of good in rebuilding Japan. But when it came to the Korean War, when MacArthur was in the Korean War, he did good at the start of the war, and he drove the North Koreans out of South Korea. He did a really good job with that, and he even took Pyongyang, which was the capital of North Korea. But the problem here is that he overestimated China, because China started threatening America and told America that if you get too close to our border, we're going to attack you. And MacArthur basically told Truman, oh, it's a bluff, the Chinese aren't going to attack, it's nonsense. And he pushed the North Koreans all the way back to the Chinese border. And the North Korean government fled to China at that time. Now, then the Chinese sent 2 million soldiers over. They sent 2 million soldiers and just overran the U.S. and pushed the U.S. completely out of North Korea. And then they tried to take Seoul again. And so the South Korean capital of Seoul, that city, it was like 5 times it was like taken in the Korean War. It was like the North Koreans took it at the start of the war. Then the U.S. took it back, and then what happened was then the Chinese invaded, and they took it back, and then the U.S. took it back again. So, like, that city changed sides so many times. But the reason that MacArthur deserved to get fired is because Truman had met with MacArthur on Wake Island. He called an emergency meeting with him, and he told, he asked MacArthur, what the hell is going on? What are we going to do about this? We're at war with China right now. And you know what MacArthur's solution was? MacArthur's solution is, let's just drop nuclear bombs all over China. That was his solution. Let's just drop nukes all over China, and that'll knock China out of the war. And Truman was basically like, are you crazy? This is gonna, kill millions of people, and this is gonna be a global catastrophe. Now look, China was the aggressor in that war. They were the ones who started the war with America, so it wasn't really America's fault. It was more China's fault. But you can't just drop, nuclear bombs all over Chinese cities. You can't do stuff like that. And that was what MacArthur did. MacArthur wanted to do that. He said, let's drop nukes all over China. And Truman's like, no, we're not going to do that. And that's why Truman fired MacArthur, because MacArthur wasn't listening to him. It was ignoring his orders. And the president is the commander-in-chief. If the president gives you an order, regardless of whether you agree with it or not, you're supposed to follow it. And so MacArthur wasn't listening to that. So in the end, yes, Truman was justified in firing him. I do think he was right in firing MacArthur, because MacArthur had gone, way too far with that. Who's Truman? He was the president of America after World War II. I think Truman was the most porous president. Yes, that is true. Truman was not only that, Truman is the only president in American history that never went to college. A lot of people don't know that. So people always say, if you don't go to college, you can never be like president of the United States. Well, look at Truman. Truman became president of the United States, and he never went to college, and he won an election too. He won an election on, he was vice president, and then he became president after Roosevelt died, but then he ended up winning an election. And one of the reasons that he actually won the election was because he didn't go to college. Because a lot of Americans felt that he sympathized with them. Like, a lot of Americans felt, a connection to him, basically, because of that. So he had this more connection with, working class people in the countryside, like rural people. And that's why, everyone generally liked him, from the rural, from cities. So he was he was a soldier. That was it. He was a soldier. He fought in World War I. That is true. 4 times. So yeah, I said it was 5 times, but Seoul got captured 4 times. What did Truman say to the Soviet foreign minister? All about that. So the Truman had cursed out the Soviet foreign minister. You can Google this. Truman curses out Soviet foreign minister. It is pretty funny. But about that is that the reason that Truman cursed the Soviet foreign minister out is because Stalin constantly kept making excuses for every single deal that he was breaking. And when Stalin would constantly break deals, Roosevelt was silent on that. Roosevelt would never really confront him on that. But when Truman met with Molotov, who was the Soviet foreign minister, you got to remember, Molotov was a scumbag. Molotov was the same guy who had met with Johann von Ribbentrop, who was the Nazi foreign minister. They signed the Soviet-Nazi non-aggression pact. So that deal that Nazi Germany had in the Soviet Union to divide up Poland, Molotov was that guy who signed that with Nazi Germany. So he's the same foreign minister, same Soviet foreign minister. So after World War II, this is like, I think, a year or 2 after the conflict, he had met with Truman, and Truman basically cursed him out. Just a lot of F-bombs, a lot of things saying to him. I don't remember exactly what he said to him, but the reason that Truman was so angry was because Stalin had basically taken over Eastern Europe. He took over
Get out here.
Poland. He took
Yeah,
over
best part of the day.
Czechoslovakia.
You see the bobber
Romania,
moving a little? Means something's
and,
curious.
Hungary,
I'm trying not to pull too
and
soon.
basically what
Doing
Stalin
great.
was doing
Patience is
he
the
was
trick out
doing
here.
It's kinda
communist
peaceful.
governments
Yeah, best
in
part of
his,
the day. You see the bobber
countries.
moving a
He was
little?
not
Means
allowing
something's
fair
curious.
elections.
I'm
He was
trying not
rigging
to pull
the
too
elections
soon.
and
Doing
just
great.
putting
Patience is the
communist
trick
partisan
out
power.
here.
It's kinda
And he had
peaceful.
the
Yeah, best
opposite
part of the
aggressive, like
day.
in Poland, for example,
You see the
entire
bobber
Polish opposition
moving a
arrested.
little?
All of the
Means
opposition to the
something's
communists were arrested,
curious.
and a lot of them were sent
I'm
to gulag.
trying
And
not
Truman
to
got
pull
really mad
too
about that,
soon.
and when he confronted
Doing
Molotov on
great.
that, Molotov was
Patience
basically
is the
saying,
trick
we have
out
rights
here.
to
Kinda
government,
Yeah, best part of the day.
we got
You see the bobber moving a
attacked,
little? Means something's
Molotov
curious.
did,
I'm trying not to pull
and,
too soon.
you know,
Doing great. Patience is the trick out
It's
here.
kinda peaceful.
Yeah, best part of the day.
preventing
You see the bobber moving a
the
little? Means something's
fascists
curious.
from,
I'm
like,
trying not to pull too soon.
being
Doing
on their
great.
borders.
Patience
That's
is the
basically
trick
what he was
out
saying.
here.
It's kinda
Oh, we
peaceful.
have to
Yeah, best
control
part of
governments
the
in these
day.
countries because we don't want
You see the
another government
bobber
like Nazi
moving a
Germany to
little?
attack
Means
us.
something's
But
curious.
the problem
I'm
with that
trying not to pull
argument
too soon.
is that,
Doing
for
great.
example,
Patience is the trick
Poland
out here.
It's kinda
and
peaceful.
Yeah, best part of the
Czechoslovakia
day.
never attacked
You see the bobber moving a little?
These were
Means
not
something's
fascist
curious.
governments.
I'm
They
trying
never
not to pull
attacked
too
us.
soon.
Doing great. Patience
And
is
so
the
you
trick
can
out
make
here.
the
kinda
argument that
peaceful.
Romania
Yeah, best part of
and
the day.
Hungary were part of,
You see the bobber
the
moving a
Axis
little?
Soviet
Means
Union. They
something's
were part of,
curious.
they
I'm
helped
trying not
Germany.
to pull too
But
soon.
Poland and
Doing great.
Czechoslovakia
Patience is the
weren't.
trick out here.
And
It's kinda
that
peaceful.
argument
Yeah,
that the
best part of
Soviet
the
Union
day.
needed to change their
You
government
see the bobber
because
moving a
of,
little? Means
because there
something's
weren't
curious.
potential
I'm
Nazi
trying
government. That doesn't
not to
work
pull
for,
too
like,
soon.
countries like
Doing
Poland and
great.
Czechoslovakia.
Patience is
It's
the
a
trick
nonsense
out here.
It's kinda
argument. The
peaceful.
argument
Yeah,
that he
best
used
part
to
of the
try
day.
to justify taking over Eastern Europe. And the problem with this is that Stalin agreed that he would allow free elections. He said, I would allow free elections in these countries. He didn't keep his word. He rigged the elections, and then he started making excuses. And then Truman basically lost it and just cursed Molotov out. Just dropped a bunch of F-bombs at him. And Molotov said to Truman in that conversation, he said, in my entire diplomatic career, I have never had anybody treat me this way. And Truman said to him in response, he said to him, if you don't want people treating you this way, then keep your goddamn promises, you Russians. That's what he said to him. So literally, that was Truman's comeback to that. And Truman was 100% right. He's like, Truman was basically saying, I don't have an obligation to show you any kind of respect if you're not going to respect me. And so that's the way that Truman did things, is Truman was a no-nonsense guy. You know, Truman grew up on a small farm in the Midwest. He was a no-nonsense guy. You know, he was generally a very friendly guy, but, you know, if you did not follow through with your agreements, if you pissed him off, oh yeah, you bet he's going to curse you out. He's going to do stuff like that. How evil was the Finnish general Mannerheim? Mannerheim, the leader of Finland. Well, Finland was really the only country that was, I guess, allied with the Axis. Finland technically was not a pure Axis country. It was more of a co-belligerent. The difference between an ally and a co-belligerent is that an ally is somebody that you have a treaty with, you have a pact with, and, you know, you agree to work together. A co-belligerent is just somebody that might just jump in when you have similar goals. So that's it. So Finland was never completely an Axis country. Yes, it did fight on the same side as the Axis, but it's not entirely an Axis country, because if you look at it from Finland's perspective, for example, Finland had been invaded by the Soviet Union in 1939 in the Winter War, and Finland had lost the territory of Karelia. You know, they had lost thousands of civilians. The Soviets had shelled their cities. Helsinki had gotten bombed by Soviet, bomber squadrons several times. So, you know, they lost thousands of people in that war. And then the Soviet Union annexed a huge part of their territory. When Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union, Finland basically got pissed, and Finland did their own invasion at the same time. And what they did was they invaded into the northern parts of the Soviet Union, like right around the territory where, you know, the Finnish border is. And the Finns never, I don't believe the Finns helped the Nazis in the siege of Leningrad. I don't think they were involved in that. So, like, the Nazis were actually complaining that the Finns weren't pushing further. They were telling the Finns to keep pushing further and further, but the Finns didn't want to. The Finns only wanted their land back that the Soviets had basically taken from them. So I wouldn't say that it's really fair to, like, say that Finland was, like, a fascist country, or that it was, like, you know, an Axis country. It did fight on the same side as Germany, but you have to understand that the country that was right next door to them, you know, the Soviets had invaded their country and had basically stolen their land and killed so many of their people, and so Finland wanted their land back. Now, about General Mannerheim, Mannerheim was the guy that was in charge of the Finnish army. Finland was not a dictatorship. Finland was the only country in the Axis that was not a dictatorship. That's the thing is. So that's what people don't know, is that, like, every single country that was on the side of the Axis was a dictatorship. Every single one. Romania, Hungary, you know, Germany, Japan, Italy. But Finland was the only country that was actually a democracy that was allied with the Axis. But about Mannerheim, I don't know every single thing that he did. But he's not this you know, evil person that, like, you know, like, he's not this pure evil person that some people might think of him as. Like, I know a lot of Finns, for example, they see him as a national hero today. So I don't know everything he did. I can't speak on that, but a lot of Finns see him as a hero for basically defending their country. Let me see here. Pro, I got a 2% raise at work, and I feel infuriating. Well, I'm sorry, sure that sucks. You know, when I worked in retail, I only got an 18-cent raise, and when that happened, that really pissed me off. Here's what I would tell you. My advice to you on that is to look for another job at this point. No, I'm not saying to quit right away, but just look. It never hurts to look for another job, right? Even when you're working, just look, see what rates are in your area, like for different jobs that are available. Just look online for them. And what I would also say about that is that make sure you read what your job description is at your official job description, and never do more than what your job description tells you to do. Because that's the problem, is that a lot of times people they do more than what their job description tells them to do, and I think that's wrong. I don't think people should be doing that, because here's the thing: is there's this common belief in America when it comes to the workplace. I guess it's part of American culture, where a lot of times Americans believe that if you work like very, very hard at your job, that you're gonna get like a raise and you're gonna get recognized and all this other stuff. And sure, that might happen at some places, but the reality is that a lot of places, when you work really hard and you go above and beyond, you're not gonna get rewarded extra for that. You know what you're gonna get? You're gonna get rewarded with more work. That's what you're gonna get, is more work at that point. And so what I would say to you, my advice to you, is they only gave you a 2% raise, so there's no reason to go above and beyond for these people. If these people only gave you a 2% raise, I'm not saying to slack off or be lazy or anything like that, but if you were going above it, because it seems to me like you were going above and beyond for this company already, because you seemed really pissed. So it seems like you were working really hard for this company. So I would just say all the extra things that you were doing, don't do them anymore. Make sure you know what your job description is. And if your boss complains about it, make sure you know what your job description is, and you just tell your boss, this was not part of my job description. And if your boss complains further, just say, well, you know, you gave me a 2% raise, so I'm only following my job description from now on. That's what I'm doing. So I will tell you, there was this older woman that I worked with, and I remember she had a food truck, and she also worked part-time in retail. And I remember this woman was like in her 60s. She's probably in her 70s by now. But she gave me like a really good advice. And this advice, I never forgot about that. And she said to me, my father always said to me that if you pay somebody $10 an hour, you're going to get $10 worth of work in an hour. That's what she said. And her point isn't to be lazy. It's not to, to slack off. But if this company is going to pay you crap wages, there's no reason to go above and beyond for these people. And that's what I never understood about these companies, is these companies pay people a little bit above minimum wage, and then they expect like 5-star service. They expect like absolute best world-class service. I never understood that. I never understood how a company can pay somebody a little bit above minimum wage, and yet they expect like 5-star perfect service. I'm like, what is the incentive there? What is it? There really isn't much incentive. Happy Sunday, Pro. Curious if you have any Saints Row projects coming up. Take care, Athena. Hey, Athena. Thank you for sponsoring my channel for 3 years and 4 months. Not at the moment, no. There is a few Saints Row lore videos that I want to do. I want to do the Akuji lore video. That one I want to do before, and I want to also do the Vice Kings lore video. That I plan on doing all of these before GTA 6 comes out, so probably during the summer. But you still here? Sure. Did you hear my advice? Just sure. The only thing I would recommend to you is don't quit right away, because you're still working at a job and you still have money. So, but it wouldn't hurt to just look for another job at the same time. Thank you, Minion Dave, for the super chat. Can you explain more about the Cuban Missile Crisis? Yes, that happened in that was 1961 when that happened. That was it was about 2 years after the Cuban Revolution. Castro had declared himself a communist, which surprised the Soviets because they didn't even know who Castro was before that, and he wanted aid from the Soviets, and the Soviets basically saw it as a perfect opportunity to have an ally right next door to America, and they basically put up their missile. They were trying to build their missiles right next to America, which was within range of hitting America, and at that point, what Kennedy did was Kennedy did a blockade of Cuba. Eventually, the Soviets agreed to pull back their missiles in exchange as long as the United States pulled out their missiles out of Turkey. Why Germany didn't invade Switzerland? For a number of reasons. Germany actually did drop a plan to invade Switzerland. One of the reasons that Germany never invaded Switzerland is because when Germany wanted to do business with Switzerland, they would do business with them. So there wouldn't really be any questions asked. And so Swiss banks were actually notorious for holding a lot of Nazi gold and also stolen Nazi items. So like that is true that Swiss banks did actually hold a lot of Nazi stuff. So the Swiss just did business with the Nazis whenever they requested it. They didn't. There was no questions really asked. The second thing is that while Germany did drop plans to invade Switzerland, Switzerland is a very mountainous country, and Switzerland would be a much more difficult country than to invade like Poland or France, for example. Very, very difficult. And Switzerland also has a very strong militia. Very, very strong militia. Everybody's basically part of the militia. They train a lot heavily. Their marksmanship programs are some of the best in the world. And so that's why Switzerland didn't get attacked. Have you ever had people bugging you to share controversial political opinions in a stream or in the comments of a video, and how would you respond to that to minimize backlash? Thank you, Painful Hearts. I'm assuming you're asking this because you've probably dealt with this on your channel, I'm assuming. But look, I'll answer the super chats in a moment. So Carboy and Realist, I'll answer your super chats in a moment. Thank you guys for them. But to answer your question, yes, people bring politics a lot of times into my chats. It happens a lot. And for the most part, I don't answer it. For the most part, I try to stay out of it. So people can generally ask me any kind of question. They can ask me about my personal life. They can ask me about history. History I'm really good at explaining. But the only thing I really don't answer is I don't answer political questions. So there's really two questions that I'll never answer, and those two questions are stupid questions and political questions. So really those two questions I'll never answer. If I see somebody posting like a question that's intentionally to be stupid, I'm not going to really answer it. But if I see political questions, usually I just say that I'm not getting involved in politics. But the problem with this is that even when you don't get involved in politics, you will have a crowd of people that get angry at you. So even if you stay completely out of it, you will still have people that get pissed off at you and they will rage at you. I've had this happen. The best example that I can give you is with the Israel-Palestine conflict. I have had so many people, just so many people over like the last 2.5 years that have basically just asked me, like, what do I think of the Israel-Palestine conflict? Like, I'm here just streaming GTA Online, and people will just come in and ask me these random questions, like, what do you think of Israel and Palestine? Like, do you support Israel? Do you support Palestine? Like, constantly just asking me this. And I just stay out of it. I say, this is, not my conflict. I'm not involved in this. And I always say that I don't want my country, America, involved in this conflict too. So I'm against all these interventions. I don't support even involving in the Iran war. I'm not, for that either. So I said one time there was a guy who gave me like a $10 donation, and he basically, asked me like, do you support Israel or do you support Palestine? And I said to him that I don't support either. I don't support Palestine and I don't support Israel. So I'm just completely neutral in this. I want, peace. I don't want any war, and I want people to stop killing each other. That was my perspective. I said I'm on the side of peace, so I don't support either one. I don't support sending money to either country. I don't support sending money to Palestine. I don't support sending money to Israel. So I don't support sending money to, either of these countries. I just want the war to end. But apparently when I said that, that guy went off, and that guy got so mad he gave me another $10 donation, and he's like, I expected better from you, professional. And he's like, by not supporting, by saying that you don't have an opinion, you are saying that you have an opinion or taking a side. So his wording was like, he was saying that by not taking a side, you are taking a side. That's basically what he was accusing me of, and he was accusing me of supporting genocide, which that was just absolutely ridiculous. I literally said I don't support Israel or Palestine, and he accused me of supporting genocide. So that's it. Is that sometimes you just have to learn to deal with it with these people, because you cannot win with some people. Is that even if you are completely neutral in something, is you're not taking a side in it, people will expect you to take a side, and they'll get pissed off at you for just not taking a side. So that's one of the things is that sometimes there's really nothing you can do about it. Let me see here. Thank you, Carboy, for the super chat. I hate how much Doomer Slop videos there are on YouTube. They say stuff like you can't afford a house, or AI is running everything, and one day it made me very sad. I just tired of all this Doomer Slop. Wait, I hate how much Doomer Slop videos there are on YouTube. Like, oh, you can't afford a house, or AI is ruining everything. Yeah, I mean, look, I know exactly what you're talking about. Is there's those videos that are recommended that like are saying that it's hopeless and stuff like that, and I don't like those type of videos. You know, I still wouldn't say that I have given up on the American dream. I think that, you know, it is harder than what our parents went through. That is true. So our parents had it easier than us. That is true. Like, things are more expensive for us. That part is true. But I do still believe that, you know, if you work hard, you know, you can achieve what you want to achieve. And I think that sometimes people are just really negative in that. Like, and I will say this is, like, you know, I used to have that attitude too. Like, you know, I worked in retail for 6 years. I was not happy. I went to college. I still wasn't happy. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I thought that I was gonna be a failure in life. I did think that at one point. I did think I was gonna be a failure in life, but my YouTube channel just started growing, and I started getting good at this. People like coming to my videos. They like listening to me talk, and this just grew, and it got bigger over time. And I can't really picture myself doing anything else. Like, YouTube, this is what I'm good at. This is what I do. So I can't really picture myself in any other job field. So I think that every single person has some kind of talent inside of them. And I think that once they figure out that talent, and they figure out, you know, what they have that's good, I think that anyone can really succeed when they push themselves. Let me see here. I grieved you so much you made a video crying, the unprofessional. I appreciate the super chat. I don't know why you're giving me a super chat if you're just here to talk crap. But is that, first of all, I would just say is, I don't know why, you know, somebody would do stuff like that on the game. Just harass anybody, just annoy anybody like that. And I will say this, if somebody enjoys griefing, if somebody enjoys doing stuff like that, just making somebody's time miserable on the game, that person has issues. That's what I'll say about that. Is that I get it's a video game and all, but if somebody's playing a video game specifically just to annoy people, and they're doing it specifically just to antagonize people and just to make people angry, they have some kind of issues going on. They do. That's at least the way I see it. Is that if somebody's intentionally trying to provoke people, they get some kind of sick satisfaction and have some sadism in them, that they enjoy, you know, making people mad. Yeah, I personally think they have some kind of issues. So that's about it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with me saying that GTA Online PvP is toxic, because it is. And while I appreciate your super chat, I don't know which of the griefers you are that was in that video, but pretty much every single griefer that was in that video had no skill whatsoever. And like, if you were that idiot that was basically just constantly blowing yourself up and doing easy way out, then I really have no words for you. The worst part about this is that the people that do stuff like this actually think that they're good at the game. They think it takes skill. That's always what I thought was the worst part. I never thought the worst part was even the griefing. It is annoying, but I think the worst part is always these people think that they have skill. They think, oh, I'm blowing myself up is like, you know, is somehow skillful. It's like they'll blow themselves up like 20 times, and then they'll get that one lucky kill on you, and then they'll be like, 1-0, you suck, 1-0. Like, to me, if I see somebody doing stuff like that, like blowing themselves up and then messages me 1-0, you know what my reaction to that is? My reaction isn't, wow, this person's amazing at the game. My reaction is, my god, this guy's a loser. That's what my reaction is basically to that. Thank you, Orbex, thank you for the super chat also. And honestly, anybody who keeps blowing themselves up on GTA Online, it's honestly just pathetic. It is just complete pathetic. I don't know any other game where people do stuff like this. Like, I don't know any other PvP game where people blow themselves up to avoid dying. And in any other game, if people do this, they laugh at you. Any other game. If I was playing Call of Duty and I started blowing myself up to avoid getting killed by other players, everybody would laugh at me. Everybody would think I suck at the game. But in GTA, it's like that one game where it's acceptable. Well, that's the thing. A lot of griefers are actually kids, and it makes sense because kids are they're growing up. They're pretty unstable, so it kind of makes sense that a lot of griefers are teenagers and kids. But if somebody becomes an adult and they're still doing stuff like that, they're still acting like that, they have some serious issues going on. What about questions related to playing different games? I answer them all the time, Zach. Congratulations on 1 billion. Thank you. Thank you, Hamzat, for the super chat. What do I think of Reagan? When it comes to Reagan, though, what I'll say about him is that Reagan's greatest accomplishment, the best thing that he did, was bankrupting the Soviet Union. Reagan can be given credit for bankrupting the Soviet Union. He was a huge part of that. So he got rid of America's, biggest enemy. So that is probably his biggest accomplishment, is knocking out America's biggest enemies. Definitely an accomplishment that somebody can be proud of. Because what Reagan did was Reagan started spending a ton of money on the military, just way more money, because the Chernobyl disaster happened. The Soviet economy was going rough because of the Afghan war, and what Reagan did was he started spending more money on the military. And the Soviets, what they would do is they would increase spending on their military to try to match that. And they couldn't compete with that. They were trying to spend more money, and with all their economic crises, ended up bankrupting their country. So that was definitely a good thing that he did. So he can be given credit with ending the Cold War, but I will say, though, that there are bad things that Reagan did. There are some pretty bad things that he did. For example, the worst thing that he did, the worst thing is the Iran-Contra affair. So what Reagan was basically doing is Reagan was supporting drug cartels that were inside Nicaragua, and these drug cartels were the Contras. Now, according to the CIA, the Contras were like freedom fighters fighting against the communists in Nicaragua. The only part of that that's true is that they were fighting against the communists. The other part that they were freedom fighters fighting for democracy, it's nonsense. The Contras were basically a bunch of gangs of drug smugglers, and the Contras, they wanted to turn Nicaragua into a narco state. So think about for example, Ghost Recon Wildlands. You know what Bolivia is like in Ghost Recon Wildlands? That's what the Contras basically wanted Nicaragua to be. They wanted it to basically be a narco state where they would control the country. They basically wanted it to become another Panama under Noriega. That was basically what they wanted. And the CIA had supported them because they preferred the narcos over the communists and the socialists. And I can't stand the socialists either. The socialists, that was the FSLN, the Sandinistas, they were crap too. But the thing is, if you have two really crappy guys, you shouldn't support anybody. So the United States shouldn't be supporting socialists, but it shouldn't be supporting drug cartels either. So, we should have probably just stayed out of that conflict. But what ended up happening is these Contras, these guys, they started massacring people in Nicaragua. They started committing war crimes, pretty brutal stuff. And when that information came out, the United States government cut all funding to the Contras. And they basically passed laws where it was illegal to fund the Contras. Now, Reagan was getting all mad about this, saying the Contras were freedom fighters and a bunch of this other stuff, when they clearly weren't. They were murderers, like I said, and drug dealers. Now, what Reagan ended up doing is Reagan had contacted, I remember, he had a third party in Israel basically sell weapons to Iran. So he had he went through the Israeli government and had the Israelis sell weapons to Iran, and then the Iranians paid Israel back, and then Israel paid that money back to the U.S. And Iran was at war with Iraq at that time in the 80s, so is the Iran-Iraq war going on. And Iran was a terror state at that time also, as it is today. So it was a brutal dictatorship. And so meanwhile, you have Reagan saying that he's supporting democracy in Nicaragua, but he's arming the dictatorship that's going on in Iran. And when that whole thing came out, the Iran-Contra scandal, it was a CIA pilot was shot down in Nicaragua and was captured by the Sandinistas and basically confessed to the whole thing. And that was Reagan's stupidest thing that he did. The other thing that I cannot approve of Reagan is that Reagan did support gun control, which personally I'm not a fan of gun control. I don't like it. I'm a pretty big pro-2A person, so I don't like that Reagan was not a pro-gun person, and Reagan had tried to put in gun control legislation. So that was my other problem with him. So that's what I would say. He gets credit for trying to end the Cold War and bankrupt the Soviet Union, but what he did with Nicaragua, that was just a complete mess, and people died because of that. It was a disaster. Let me see here. Hey Professional, when is your next video coming out? Also, enjoying your videos, and I can't wait for you to play new games this year. Thank you. I'll have my next video coming out tomorrow. It'll be the final sub-stories for Yakuza. That will be tomorrow. Thank you, Mitchell, for the super chat. And we're gonna be doing Ace Combat Zero soon, and also 50 Cent Blood in the Sand. I just feel bad for the 1-0 crowd. I feel like they're going through some stuff. Yeah, it's like I said, I don't know how anybody would, anybody thinks that they're good at the game when they do 1-0. That's so stupid. Oh, did somebody not take a plane? Oh, I have to get the other plane. Let me go and get it. Hey Pat, I'm working on my casino preps. I got 2 left. After I'm done with my preps, will you do it at the end of the stream? Yeah, if you invite me at the end of the stream, I can help you, Brandon. Thank you for the super chat. Yes, I'm getting the last plane. I'm going to get it. I didn't realize that no one else got the other plane. Wait, Nikki, you didn't invite anybody else. I thought we had multiple people. Okay, just invite another person right after this mission. I'll go and get the other plane right now. Ace Combat will be a lot of fun when we do it. How did you get disciplined to save 90% of your YouTube earnings? Most YouTubers would have wasted it on stupid stuff. And that's the thing is, have you guys ever noticed how YouTubers, they have like their peak and then they have their downfall and then they go broke and they're begging for money? You know, you have stuff like that happen. The reason I never had a situation like that is because I was very careful with my money. So here's the thing is, whenever I get money, the way that I look at money is I look at money, how can I use my money to get more money? That's how I always looked at money. So I always think, I'm not a greedy person, but I always just think about, like, you know, what can I do with my money to turn it into more money? That's how I basically look at things. And I don't think about luxuries. Oh, let me buy this. Let me buy this expensive watch. Or let me buy this car. Or, you know, that stuff. Like, me personally, I live in an apartment. I don't want a house. I don't need a house. So I'm renting an apartment. I could, I guess, get a house if I wanted to, but I don't want to. It's a waste of money for me, and it's also, I don't need that much space. You know, I put my money into rental properties. You know, 2 rental properties, and I make passive income from that. So I do make money from that. So it was, I just thought about the future. I thought about where am I going to be 10 years from now. And also, I kind of predicted the downfall of GTA Online. I did call it, because 5 years ago, when we had like COVID and stuff like that, or I started changing up my channel and started going into other games. I started playing other games, doing other stuff, and people were just, you know, some people were getting like pissed at me and be like, you know, why are you playing other games? Why aren't you doing GTA Online anymore? And I was trying to explain to people that if I keep playing only GTA Online, this channel is going to suffer. And people didn't understand that. Like, they didn't understand it. They thought that the channel would only be successful if I only did GTA Online. But I was trying to explain to people that GTA Online is dying. It's getting less and less people playing it. It's only going to grow when GTA 6 Online comes out. Then a lot of people are going to, you know, play that, and that's going to be the next big game. But if you notice, every single update on GTA in the last 5 years since and I would say the biggest last update we got was probably the contract. The contract that was December 2021. It was fairly big, but then after that, everything was just smaller and smaller. I guess maybe you could argue Drug Wars was a little bit bigger, but after Drug Wars, everything just keeps getting smaller and smaller. Have you noticed that? Smaller and smaller and smaller. This mansion update, I guess, is maybe a little bit bigger than some of the other updates we've gotten, but it's still pretty small. You know, you really didn't have that much content in the Mansions update. So the point that I'm getting at is that GTA Online is just growing small, you know, losing popularity over time. People are moving on to other games. They don't watch GTA YouTubers as much. Like, I've seen so many comments where people, like, come to my channel and they'll be like, oh, hey, I used to watch your money guides, like, you know, 5-6 years ago and stuff like that. And they don't really watch the GTA anymore because they stopped playing it. So that's what I think a lot of YouTubers didn't want to accept, is that GTA Online was losing popularity over time. That's why I wanted to transition my channel to other games and do other content, because I was thinking about the future, thinking about where am I going to be 10 years from now, and I don't want my channel to just revolve around one game. I know that GTA Online made me popular, I get that, and I get that I made the most amount of views and money from GTA Online, but I don't want the channel to just be solely dependent on GTA. I think that's stupid to just be dependent on one channel, because when that game has problems, when that game has issues, those channels are going to go down. It's going to happen. And so if I do other content, I might not get as much views over time. I might have a bunch of people unsubscribe because they're pissed that there's not as much GTA content. But over time, is I will attract like a wider audience and have other people watch my other videos and watch the videos I do on other games ultimately. So that's it. You were asking me how I was disciplined with a lot of that stuff. It was always because I was thinking about the future. I was thinking about where am I going to be 10 years from now. I don't want to spend my money on like stupid things and dumb things. That's why when I made that video like a year ago when I was complaining about those greedy YouTubers, those people like really pissed me off. Because it was like that one guy, that Wings idiot, he had gotten like a $500 donation, and he was complaining about a $500 donation that the guy didn't donate more, which I appreciate every single donation. Even if somebody gives me a $1 donation, I always appreciate it. And the reason I appreciate it is because people don't have an obligation to give you money. They don't. People give you a donation when they like your content and they appreciate you as a person, and so that's why I always appreciate it when I get super chats, because it's like somebody's coming to my stream and they're watching me, they're like, hey, I like this guy, I'm gonna give him a donation. So it's like people giving me stuff because they generally like me as a person, not because they feel that they need to. So I never wanted that point where people are giving me money because they feel they need to, or I'm not gonna like stream or something like that. Like I've never done that before on my channel where I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna stream now, guys, if you don't give me a donation. I've never done stuff like that. So like that is I cannot stand when YouTubers like they blackmail their audience and they do crap like that. I just think it's dishonest. I just think it's scummy. And honestly speaking, I would rather have like 1 million subs as I have right now, and people generally like me, than have 10 million subs and have more money but people hate my guts. So that's the way that I personally see things. That's my whole philosophy at YouTube and how I run things. Nobody has an obligation to give a donation. They don't. People give you a donation when they like your content. And I cannot stand how YouTubers, they always, say the same thing. They say, oh, you get free content, so you have to donate to me. You have to give me money because you're getting free content. Here's the thing is, there is no such thing as free content on YouTube. It does not exist. Now look, here's the thing is, everybody that's watching this video right now, if you are, even if you've never given me a donation, even if you've never given me a super chat, you still helped me greatly. You've helped me, and you've helped me even make money. Because when you watch my videos, you're watching ads. And those ads are helping me to get ad revenue, which, helps me to support myself, which helps me to make money. And by liking my videos and watching my videos, you're also, helping the algorithm. And sharing the videos, you also help that too, and you help grow the channel. So when YouTubers act like only the people that give them donations are the people that help them, it's not necessarily true. Is everybody's, is helping. And so it would only be free content if there's no ads. So if there's no ads, nobody's doing ads, then it would be complete. Then I guess you could argue it's free content. But if somebody's putting free ads in a video, you can't say it's free content, because maybe you're not physically paying for something, but you're still watching ads, and that YouTuber's making money from that. So that's what a lot of these greedy YouTubers, I don't think they fully understand that. Let me see here. Holy, trying Ace Combat, it's one of the best franchises out there. Been watching your content for years, always a pleasure. Thank you, Yellowbird YT. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun playing Ace Combat Zero. Thank you, it'll be a lot of fun, it'll be really enjoyable. We're gonna be doing that on Tuesday. Do you think we'll get thank you, Yellowbird, for that super chat. I really appreciate it, man. Do you think we'll get something in April for GTA 6? Possibly, but I think it'd probably be more like May, June. Probably when we get something, probably around there. Am I doing a video on acquiring rental properties? Eventually, yeah, I do want to do that, talking about it. I have some great advice that I think I could give in a video like that. Like, I have some ideas. I don't know when I'll do that, but, I will, I think I still need a little bit more experience to make that video, but I will eventually post that video. I do promise that. Just fact-checking? Well, thank you, Dr. Fact-checking what, though? But thank you for the super chat. They wanted a fixed income like a salary. Well, the thing is that YouTubers need to understand YouTube money is very unstable. It is. Because I can have some months where I'm doing really good, and I can have some months where I'm not doing so good. I'm always doing, I would say, good, but there are some months I'm not doing good. Like, like last April, April last year, I had basically lost, I think it was like 3,000 subscribers in a month, and I did not gain those subscribers back. So it was like negative 3,000 subscribers the whole month. So that happens. Stuff like that happens where, there are some months where you do good, some months you don't do as good. That just happens. That's what YouTubers need to accept, and they need to understand that. But I cannot stand greediness of some of these channels out there personally. And I will tell you, these stupid YouTubers that always complain about money, they always complain, oh, you know, I can't afford this, I can't afford that, you guys gotta donate to me and stuff like that, you guys gotta give me this. What these guys are not thinking about is they're not thinking about the financial stability of their viewers. They're not thinking about that. It's only all about me. It's all about me. That's why I think a lot of these guys are narcissists. They think about themselves. Oh, you guys gotta donate to me. You guys gotta give me money. Blah blah blah. This. I gotta pay bills here. But what about the bills of your viewers? What about what your viewers are going through? They don't think about that. They don't think about what they're going through. That does piss me off. It does annoy me. You know, stuff like that. But it's And I will tell you that these YouTubers, there was that one YouTuber that I complained about, I remember like a year ago, and the guy that's constantly like guilt-tripping his audience into donating to him. Like, it was just disgusting, the amount he guilt-trips his audience. That guy who guilt-trips his audience, that guy, I said in the video, I was like, you know, what did you spend the money on? What did you spend the money on exactly? Because the thing is, if those YouTubers took the money that they made and they invested that money properly, like they invested that money in the right things, they could eventually develop a good living for themselves. So I took my money that I made from my YouTube channel and I put that into rental properties. And I make money from my rental properties now. And that helps me get extra money so I don't have to be as dependent on YouTube. So I don't understand why these YouTubers couldn't just take their money. I'm not saying to necessarily buy rental properties, but there's so many other things that you could do with your money. You could put it in investments, you could put it into stocks, you could put it into a high-yield savings account, you could put it into a CD. There's so many things that you could do with your money to help you generate more money over time and help you create an extra side income. But they don't do that. You know why? Because these YouTubers, the thing that they do is they say, oh, let me buy this new car. Let me buy this new car. Let me impress my girlfriend. Let me buy, you know, Rolex watches. Let me go clubbing every single night. Let me go partying. Let me go order the most expensive champagne. And before they know it, these guys are completely out of money. I don't go to clubs. I don't do that stuff. I don't buy expensive cars. I'm driving a car from 2013. You know, I buy a new phone every single 5 years so that I don't spend my money like an idiot. These YouTubers, they do this stupid crap and then they complain to their audience that they're broke and they want more money. And about this crap that just happened here, this is a glitch. This is a glitch that happens with the Pounder truck. This is a rare glitch where the business will just get destroyed. So there's nothing that he could have done here. This is just a stupid glitch that happens. This glitch is just ridiculous. You know, stuff like this. This needs to be fixed. Yeah, it's a glitch, Casey. There's nothing anyone can do about it. It just happens. That just happens sometimes with the business. And also, that YouTuber that I complained about, like, people told me in the comment section he spent his money on, like, WWE stuff, like loot boxes or something like that. I don't remember what people said, but they said he wasted all of his money on some stupid crap. And that was, like, I don't know, like, you know, the thing is, you know, I don't understand how sometimes some people can just be so stupid with money. Like that. Like, you make so much money from your YouTube channels, and, like, you cannot even just manage it properly. You just want to always spend about luxuries and just spend so much money on stupid crap. Yeah, I can post it, Nikki. I can do that. I can do that for you.
After all,
Let me see. You're so kind, like Butters from South Park. The issue is these kids don't know what it means to put in effort for money, so they grieve. Oh, thank you, TI8493. Thanks, man, for the super chat. You think Rockstar will be the richest in the world after GTA 6? No, they're not going to be the richest company in the world, but they'll definitely be one of the richest video game developers ever out there. Take-Two Interactive is going to make... I think Take-Two Interactive will make billions from this. The sales from GTA 6 and also the microtransactions they make over they'll make a ton of money from it. Back to River Aras, Pat, and explain the 1983 Grenada. Wait, what? Are you talking about the invasion of Grenada? Is that what you're talking about? Just joking. I wanted to know if you really appreciate the $1 donations. Thanks for the videos, Pro. Thank you, Dr. Factor. Thanks for the super chat, man. And what kind of currency is that? Huff? I don't think I've seen that currency before. What country is that from? How come you don't use the original oppressor anymore? I was thinking about buying it. Is that a bad idea? I used to use the original oppressor a lot back in the day, like 2019, 2020. I used to do it a lot on streams just to get around. The reason that I stopped using those vehicles, and like, if you notice, I drive a motorcycle around, because I like motorcycles more than cars in this game. So, but the reason I don't use, like, the oppressors is because I basically made a pledge to myself that I was not going to use these futuristic vehicles ever again. And I pretty much kept that pledge. I have not gotten on an oppressor or any of that stuff in, like, 5 years. I have not done it, ever. So, like, I haven't done it in years. I haven't gotten on it. The only time I think I've ever gotten on an oppressor in, like, the last 5 years was when I was recording a video, and I was trying to record something about the oppressor specifically. But, like, if you look at my streams, in, like, these streams that I've done, and you look at the streams in, like, the last, 4 or 5 years, almost never get on an oppressor. I haven't. I can't remember the last time I did it. So, like, the reason I stopped using the oppressor and all that other stuff is because it's, I personally think that it destroys the immersion, and I'm going to be talking about this when I have my video talking about GTA 6 Online and how I think Rockstar can make it fun and less grindy. I'm going to have that video up later this week, coming up, but what I'm basically getting at, my point here, is that the worst part about the oppressors for me, the worst part about them, it's not even the, and I want to thank you also for the super chat, Clutch. The worst part about the oppressors, it's not the griefing. I know the griefing is really annoying with the Oppressor Mark II, but that's not the main reason that it pisses me off. The griefing is probably the number 2 reason it pisses me off. The number 1 reason the Oppressor pisses me off is because I just feel it has no place in a game like GTA Online. I don't think it should be in a game like GTA Online. I don't think it should exist in a game like GTA Online. I don't think it should be here at all. It ruins the immersion of the game and completely destroys any kind of immersion that you have in the game. Because think about it, if you have this one vehicle that you can do everything with, you can get across the map, you can get in the air with it, you can, blow people up with it. If you have this one vehicle that you can do everything with, there's no point to using any other vehicle. And that's basically what's happened, is that there are people that play GTA Online, and they cannot play it without the Oppressor Mark II. Like, they are so dependent on that thing, that's the only thing they will use. They will not use, like, any other vehicle. And I think that's destroying GTA Online. I think that's hurt GTA Online. Because, like, what's the point of using a helicopter when you can just use the Oppressor? What's the point of using a plane when you can use the Oppressor? What's the point of using a motorcycle driving on the highway if you can just fly over it with an Oppressor? What's the point of, going in there and shooting the enemies when you can just blow them all up with an Oppressor? You get my point here, is that the Oppressor basically just ruined the immersion in GTA, is because there's no point to using really any other vehicle. And so that's why I don't use it. I know that by not using the Oppressor I make the game harder for myself, but I'm fine with that. I like that, because at least I have to go and do things. I'm not reliant on some stupid vehicle that I'm spawning and constantly using that to blow everything up. So that's the way I think it should be. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Like, a lot of times, like, my favorite gang of all time in the entire GTA series is the Lost MCs. That's my favorite gang in GTA. A lot of people think my favorite gang is Grove Street, but Grove Street is one of my top 5 favorite gangs, but it's not my favorite gang. My favorite gang was always Lost MC. Second was probably Leone's, and then third one was probably Grove Street. Anyways, about it is that I really like the Lost MC so much. And one of the things I like doing on GTA Online is I like role-playing as a biker gang. So, like, me and my friends would dress up in, like, biker gang outfits, and we would drive around in, like, old motorcycles and just do motorcycle club missions together, like contracts. And we did that for the role-play. We did that for the immersion. But then when you have something like an Oppressor just jump out of nowhere, like, imagine you're a biker gang and you're just driving on the highway, and then you have that Oppressor just come out of nowhere and just blow you up. That ruins the immersion. It just makes no sense. It's just sort of place. Like, it should not be there. I'm fine with the military vehicles. I'm not necessarily against, like, the jets and the tanks and stuff like that, but I don't want something like a futuristic bike just flying around. It's just stupid. I don't think it has any place in GTA. And I will tell you, this same thing has killed Saints Row. This exact same thing. Because Saints Row the Third was like this. Saints Row the Third, I think, is where Saints Row went downhill. I think that's where it was the beginning and the end for Saints Row. Because while Saints Row the Third wasn't the worst, most terrible game out there, it had some fun moments. It was the crazy non-stop action and all the futuristic stuff. It took it away from Saints Row. Saints Row was always a game where, you play as the Saints and you take over the city and you eliminate the other gangs. That's what it was always about. But they changed that, and they started doing this. They combined it all into one gang, the Syndicate, instead of making it 3 separate gangs. And they combined it into one big story instead of making it 3 separate storylines. And then what they did was they basically created a futuristic police force of flying motorcycles. Yes, that's what it was STAG in Saints Row, and that destroyed Saints Row. And that's why I hated when that happened in GTA Online, because I felt like GTA Online was going downhill like Saints Row, like it was the exact same thing. And so here's the thing is, when I play a game like GTA when I play a game like Saints Row. You know why I play these games? The reason I play these games, it's not because I like grinding businesses, it's not because I necessarily like the open world, it's because I like playing as a gangster. Gangster games are my favorite games. Those are my favorite games out there. So gangster games are always the games that I have enjoyed the most. They were always my favorite games out there. I like playing as a criminal, that's it. I'm not a fan of crime, I don't like crime, but I like gangster games. I like playing as a criminal. They're my favorite. Everybody has a favorite genre of games, and my favorite genre are crime games, gangster games. And so that's why I play GTA, because I like playing as a criminal in games. But when I have stupid crap like The Oppressor, that takes away from that immersion. I don't feel like I'm playing a crime game anymore. I don't feel like I'm playing a gangster game. I feel like I'm playing some ridiculous, like, you know, futuristic nonsense, like what happened to Saints Row. That's basically what I think about it. So that's my whole perspective on it. That's why I really don't use it. I know that was kind of a long answer to your question there, Clutch. You can buy the Oppressor if you want. It's not necessarily a bad vehicle to use on missions. It'll help you around, but I'm just explaining to you why I don't like it personally and why I don't use it myself. That's at least my reasoning for it. Damien reacted to Redemption 500 Rand video. Oh, recently? Was that? Thank you, Bork, for the super chat. I mean, do you guys agree with what I'm saying, that the Oppressor destroyed the immersion of GTA? It's Hungarian foreign. Oh, Hungarian. Oh, okay. Max Payne, this club makes me sick. All I need is a real drink to get away from the electronic music and the robotic people. Max Payne 3, he says that in the club. I remember that one. Thank you for sponsoring my channel for almost a year, Isaiah. You don't own an Oppressor? No, I do. I own both Oppressors. I just never use them. Guys, to start driving away, I will take care of these enemies for you. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Crap. Okay, yeah, we can do it near the end, Brandon, for the heist. Who's more evil, Edgar Ross or Micah? Micah, probably. Would you say that Maximilian Robespierre had mental issues on top of his radical ideals? Probably, yeah. He had some form of paranoia. I mean, we wouldn't be able to really diagnose him. The thing about Robespierre is a very fascinating figure to read about, because Robespierre, there's a lot of things that you don't necessarily know about the guy. Like, when people think of, like, Maximilian Robespierre, for example, oh, they think of that guy who did the Reign of Terror in France. They think of the guy who did all the, you know, the heads cutting off with the guillotine. That's basically what people think about. But the reality of it is that Robespierre went insane. He did. So he actually lost his sanity, and he went insane. He got to the point where he basically thought that if you don't disagree with him 100%, that you were an enemy of the revolution. And the thing about Robespierre is that Robespierre was actually a pretty good person when he was younger. Before, you know, he went insane, he was actually a really good person. Where, like, you know, you have people like, for example, like Hitler and Stalin. Before these guys became dictators, these guys were never really good people. Like, Hitler, when he was younger, Hitler had been like a raging ultra-nationalist even when he was younger. When he was like even like 18, 19, 20, he was always like a raging ultra-nationalist. So there was never a point in his life where he was really a good person. But, like, you know, for example, like Robespierre, if you look at a person like that, Robespierre actually was a pretty honorable and a decent person when he was younger, and Robespierre envisioned a society in which, France could basically be free of the monarchy, where people could rise to the top, where, you wouldn't have this stupid aristocratic bloodline privilege, because back then in that time period, if you were not born into a specific bloodline, if you were not born into an aristocrat in France, you basically had no say. So it was that you couldn't go to college, you couldn't advance yourself in the military past like an NCO rank, you could not be an officer if you were not an aristocrat. So like the aristocrats pretty much controlled society, and Robespierre had helped abolish slavery. He did. He helped to end slavery. So that's what a lot of people don't know, is that a lot of people say Britain was the first country in Europe to end slavery, or the first major country, but Britain wasn't really the first major country. It was technically France. The reason that France doesn't get credit for it is because Napoleon ended up bringing it back. But during the French Revolution did abolish slavery. That was 40 years before Britain did. So it was technically France during the French Revolution that abolished it. Robespierre, yeah, I know I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly. Sorry. But look, but about Robespierre is, he supported freedom of speech. He supported limited government. He didn't support monarchy. He was against this aristocratic privilege. He was basically for the, the common person. That's what Robespierre was for. So if you had lived in if you were like a peasant and you had lived in revolutionary France, you would have liked him. You would have liked him as a person. You would have supported him. So a lot of people say, oh, no, I wouldn't have supported somebody like that. If you lived in that time period, you 100% would have supported him. So he was very popular amongst the poor, amongst the peasantry. The problem with him, what ended up happening with him, is that there were several countries that were plotting to invade France. And it was like Prussia, Austria, Britain, Spain. You had numerous countries that were plotting to invade France. And the reason that they wanted to invade France is because they wanted to end the French Revolution. Because they were scared of the French Revolution spreading to their countries. And the King of France, what he did was he tried to flee overnight, and he tried to go to Austria because his wife was Austrian, Marie Antoinette, and her brother was the King of Austria. So they had tried to flee overnight, and he would have basically rallied an army against his own country. So the king committed treason against his own country, and he deserved to get executed in the end. But at that point, what ended up happening with Robespierre is that he got so paranoid after that happened that he basically believed that there was this plot to get rid of the revolution, and there was like thousands of people like into this giant plot. And the reality of it was, he was right to a degree. To a degree, he was right that there was a conspiracy to abolish the French Revolution, but it was not in the thousands. It was more in the hundreds. But the problem with him is he got so paranoid. He basically believed that anybody who was had disagreed with him even slightly would basically be counter-revolutionary. Like for example, he declared the Girondists. They were a rival political party because Robespierre was from the Jacobin party. The Girondists were another political party, but they weren't monarchists. But he accused them of being monarchists, and because they didn't agree with everything that he said, and he basically called for the death penalty of the entire party. So that's what ended up happening to Robespierre, is that he was a good man at heart at the start, but that unfortunately it was the paranoia and stuff. It made him go insane. He lost his mind. He even created his own religion. It was called the Cult of the Supreme Being. When he tried to create his own religion, that's basically when he completely lost his mind at that point. He basically just, just completely lost it. And at that point, he deserved to get executed because, especially what he did during the Reign of Terror, it just got completely out of control. But the thing about him is that if Robespierre never started killing people, if he never went crazy, he would have gone down in history as like one of the greatest men that had ever lived. But it was, unfortunately, in his last years, he just basically completely lost it, and he did some pretty bad things. Let me see here. What pissed you off? Wait, what? Quebec, Pat? I've been to Quebec for... Well, we've talked about this. Is the law where they have banned... It was the law that banned private businesses from using English. That was it, right? QC Suppressor? I liked all the gangs in Saints Row 1. Do you know the Combine in Half-Life 2 killed more humans than Gordon did? And unlike Gordon, despite starting the Resonance Cascade, they never cared. I gotta play Half-Life 2, Hamzat. I gotta play that. But, just because Gordon Freeman doesn't talk doesn't mean that he's a bad person. If Leone was the oldest character in the Mafia franchise. I believe he'll likely show up in the next game, maybe around his 90s. What do you think? Leone? Wait, who are you talking about, Aaron? Are you okay, April? English isn't banned. Businesses in Quebec must speak French, but English is not banned. Well, it kind of is. If private businesses, I never said that the language publicly is banned, but when it comes to private businesses, if businesses in Quebec are required to speak French, that is technically a ban on English, even though it might not be towards the general population. It still is a ban. And honestly speaking, that's probably one of the stupidest things that I've heard about. It's pretty idiotic. Like, trying to force private businesses to only speak French, not allowing them to speak English, is one of the stupidest things that I've heard about, because English is the language of the business world. It is, most businesses around the world use English as their language. And so, what happens when a business in Quebec is trying to do business with a business in another country? Are they going to speak French to them? Like, can they not speak English to them if they're signing, like, a multi-million-dollar deal or something like that? It's stupid. It's going to ruin the deal. It's like, it's unnecessary government intervention. That's pretty much what it is. Now, look, if they want to make it a law where in their official parliament in Quebec, like, politicians have to speak French, like the government has to speak French, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because French historically is the language of Quebec. But if they make a law where they require now not government but private businesses to speak French, that is just stupid. That's dumb. But it isn't. They just have to have a French speaker. It's not a ban, dude. But even if that is the case, though, man, is that there's just so many businesses. There's just so many businesses. They're gonna need to hire specifically a French speaker every single time. I don't think that that's necessarily a good policy. Like I said, if they want to make it. If they want to make it that the government has to speak French and the official language of the government is French, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because French was the language of Quebec. But trying to force businesses to use French, I don't think that that's reasonable. I think that that's going way too far. That's government overreach. They speak decent English, but outside YUL harder? What do you mean? Here's the other reason on why Gordon Freeman is not a psychopath despite being mute and armed, because if he dies in Half-Life 2, the rebels would mourn him. Well, yeah, just because a character is silent, though, Hams, that doesn't mean that he's a bad person.
Look at.
Who's worse, Maximilian Robespierre or Vladimir Lenin? Lenin, way worse. I did hear about Chuck Norris, yes. Okay, QC suppressor, remember. Jack Doherty paid a rapper $200,000 to make an appearance at his party and got mad when the rapper didn't perform his songs because $200,000 only covered the appearance for the party. Well, I don't know what kind of an idiot would spend $200,000 on somebody attending your party in the first place. Like, I would never spend something like that. I would not, if I had a birthday party, I wouldn't even spend $1,000 to hire a singer. I wouldn't even do that. I don't want singers. It's like, I think that's a stupid waste of money. $200,000 to hire a rapper to show up at your party, that's a giant waste of money. You could have bought, like, a house with that money in certain states. So, like, that's ridiculous. I don't think Leo Galante is going to show up again, because he was just, He was so old at that point at the end of Mafia 3, though, Aaron. Lenin killed way more people than Robespierre did. Robespierre is estimated to have killed around 10 to 20,000 people in the Reign of Terror. Lenin is killed hundreds of thousands. Lenin did have his own secret police. That's a Cheka. The Cheka was his secret police. Gordon Freeman would never kill anyone in 1 billion years. He only kills creatures that try to kill him for no reason, such as the HECU and the Combine. Oh, okay, Hamzat. I got a question for you, Hamzat. Have you seen the Special Forces in Dead Rising? The Special Forces in Dead Rising, some people say that they're based on the HECU. They're like evil Special Forces that are trying to cover up what's going on. Yeah, but they were attacking him, were they not, Zach?
All right.
Oh, I didn't get an invite to the business. Okay, here we go. Oh, I know about GTA Advance. I gotta play that one day. Can you play Lucius? I've never heard of that game before. No, this is a Daemon. This is the Western Daemon specifically. Jim does drive the zombie, yes. Hey Pro, does We the Revolution show how brutal the Great Terror in the French Revolution is? Yes. The We the Revolution is it shows you the terror and how bad it got in the French Revolution, yes. Pat, YULQC language watchdogs are sending undercover inspectors in businesses. Please look into this and maybe consider crazy current events 2 weeks ago. I could look into that. They're sending private investigators into businesses. So like a bit to check if a business is using French. That's my favorite Half-Life characters are Gordon Freeman, Barney Calhoun, Adrian Shepard, Alex Vance, Isaiah Kleiner, the Rebels, Vortigons, and Judith Mossman. Well, I still have to play Half-Life 2. I'll do it this year though, Hamzat. But I'm gonna do Half-Life 2. Do I like the Ultor storyline? Yeah, for the most part in Saints Row 2 I did. This greedy, large corporation trying to take over Saints Row, I did like it. In GTA 6, the online should be about building a drug empire and smuggling drugs and taking turf and running businesses like Scarface and Crime Boss, but the futuristic shit gotta end. I agree with you, yeah. I agree with you there, Visionary. Hey Pro, I love how honest you are and how you made your videos. How would you feel if Rockstar asked you to be the main character of Red Dead Redemption 3? I don't think that would happen. I have no acting experience. I would love to play as a side character, but I don't think I would ever get asked to be a main character in a video game. I'm new? Well, hello there, aimbot, Millsap, if I'm reading your name correctly. What open world crime game do you think has the best economy? Scarface. Scarface, there's so many things to buy. We're gonna replay Saints Row 1 this year. This year we'll do it. Yeah, Scarface was a great game. Why are some people so fixated on portraying Gordon Freeman as a bad person? Hamzat. Watch Dogs Legion Online could have been good competition to GTA. Yeah, I don't think it would ever overtake GTA, but if they added more stuff over time, definitely could have been a decent competitor. My favorite game, Saints Row 2. What's the question, Hunter? Where I'd rather live was Citizen and Just Cause 2 or Sleeping Dogs. Which world would I rather live in? Sleeping Dogs. I wouldn't want to live in Panau, which is the setting of Just Cause 2. What president is the worst in American history? James Buchanan. Because he was the president before Lincoln, he did nothing to stop the Civil War from happening. Do you mean Iran, Vanny? Is that what you're asking me about? Well, this Iran conflict could go on for months. That's basically it. I don't believe the U.S. government when they say this is going to be over in a month. I don't believe it. Who owns the rights to Sleeping Dogs right now, Liskiff? I look like Agent 47. Do I download games? Sometimes. What do I think of the Black Panther Party? Some of them were civil rights leaders, but some of them were also communists. So there was different factions of the Black Panther Party. Some of them were civil rights leaders, but others of them were actually communists. Like there were some members of the Black Panther movement that actually had links to communist parties. Favorite game from Valve? Left 4 Dead.
That's a...
Hey, Golden. What is that Young Washington movie going to be about? That's a great question. Young Washington comes out on July 4th this year, on America's 250th anniversary. It's that movie is going to be about George Washington's career in the French and Indian War. That was the war that happened 20 years before the American Revolutionary War, and that war is basically what caused America to be really pissed off at Britain. The amount of the debt was put onto the colonists to pay that. They were not given fair representation, and it's also going to show how badly like Americans were treated in that war. Because the thing is, if you like George Washington's dream, his dream for his entire life was always to get a commission in the British Army. That's what he wanted to do, is he wanted a commission in the British Army. But the thing about that is that he couldn't get that because he was Virginian born. And so when he tried to apply, he just kept getting denied. The only thing that he could do is he could join the Virginia state militia, which was basically like, it was basically a smaller colonial military that was and Britain was in charge of it. But the problem with the Virginia state militia is that the British ranks always outranked, state militia. So basically, George Washington was a lieutenant colonel in the Virginia state militia, but a British captain would outrank him. That's the problem with that. And George Washington was treated like crap during that war. If you've seen in the trailer for Young Washington, if you've seen the trailer with it, he's talking to a British general. The general he's talking to is General Braddock. And Washington is telling him that this is going to take months, over a month, not a week. And Braddock is basically just not listening to him. And Washington advised him to use skirmishers because they were going to take Pittsburgh, the area of Pittsburgh, where modern-day Pittsburgh is. The French had a fort there. I think it was called Fort Duquesne. And the British wanted to take that fort from the French. But the French knew that the British were coming, and the Americans were actually forced to march first in that. So like the colonial soldiers were forced to march first. He had them in tight formation. He didn't spread them out. Washington told him that it's not like Europe, because in Europe they would fight in open fields in line formation. Here in America, the warfare is very different. A lot of battles are fought in hills with covers. There's guerrilla warfare, ambushes, hit and run tactics. But Braddock wouldn't listen to him. Braddock ended up dying in that. He got ambushed by the French and the natives. He died. Washington took command. 1/3 of the entire British army died in that battle. Washington pulled them back, and he saved the majority of the army. When Washington got back, even though he got shot 4 times, he was never given any kind of medal. He was never recognized for it. Some people even tried to blame him for the disaster when it was all on Braddock. And Washington got really pissed about that like how badly treated Americans were. So that's one thing people don't really know about the American Revolution, is it wasn't just about taxes. It was also about this idea that there's this king that is thousands of miles away that is basically telling us what to do. You know, we're born here, we're loyal to our state, to our, land here. We're not loyal to some island that is thousands of miles away. And it did not help when the king was basically treating people like crap, saying, oh, you're not a British, you're a colonist. That's what they would call them. So that movie is going to pretty much show Washington's perspective in the French and Indian War, and show how he became the man that he ended up becoming. How were the natives treated after the revolution? Well, it depends. There was one tribe that was allied with the U.S. I forget the name of the tribe. I should know this. But there was one tribe. Most tribes were actually allied with the British during the Revolutionary War, but there was one tribe that was allied with Americans. I gotta remember what the name of the tribe was. They did not get as much of their land taken, as the government was not as aggressive with them as they were with some of the other tribes. But it really depends. What happened after the Revolutionary War was that Washington actually did not want to go to war with a lot of these Native American tribes. He was actually not in favor of Americans actually settling out west. He was not a fan of that. So he wasn't for that. But what ended up happening was a lot of people actually went out west, and it ended up creating conflicts, and then there started wars between settlers and the natives, and then the U.S. government got involved, and things got pretty ugly at that point. It got pretty bad. I don't think it was it wasn't the Cherokee. No, the Cherokee were allied with the British. It was another tribe. I'm trying to remember what tribe it was. Good evening, brother. I just wanted to say I appreciate your money, guys. Keep up the great content. Thank you, Cowboys and Angels. Thank you for the super chat, man. Thanks, I appreciate it. No, the Crows were allies later with the U.S. They could get his videos taken down on YouTube, though, Liskiff, so they can't pursue legal action against him, but they could have all of his videos removed on YouTube for copyright reasons. If I could pick any famous person, dead or alive, to have dinner with, who would I pick? Personally, I'd pick Eddie Guerrero or Ulysses S. Grant. Famous person to have dinner with? Probably Washington, what we were talking about right now, yeah. Hear his views on a lot of this stuff, and probably ask him what he thinks of the modern-day United States. Get out of my condo, yeah, Deborah says that. Thank you, Ghost Studio Comics, for the super chat. The Brotherhood was arrogant, and it was their downfall in the end. They could have worked with the Saints. It was Mero's arrogance which caused his downfall. Didn't George Washington warn us about political parties? Yes, George Washington did warn about that. He warned that political parties would divide the country. What George Washington also warned about is he warned about foreign alliances. He was completely against America getting involved in foreign alliances. That's what a lot of people don't know, is that If Washington was alive today, for example, he would be completely against America being in NATO. He would not support that 100%. He would not be for that. He was very against America ever getting into an alliance with any country. Have I played Red Faction? Oh, I loved Red Faction. That was a great game back in the day. Okay, I'll see you. Take care, Nikki. Okay, Liskiff, Well, I don't know, Hamzat. I haven't played the second game, but it was the HECU. They were pretty bad in Half-Life 1. I think the context of World War II would change his mind. Well, if Washington was president, I don't think we would have ever gotten involved in World War I. World War II we would have gotten involved in because we ended up getting attacked by Japan. But I'm just saying is that the modern alliance system, like with NATO and stuff like that, he definitely would not be for that. Okay, I'm gonna help. What is it? I'm gonna help Brandon with his heist, unless Minifig still has another business. Do you have another business, Minifig? I think he does. Okay, Minifig, I'll help you with one more business, and then I'm gonna help Brandon. No, nobody is texting me. I'm just getting a bunch of notifications on my phone. Well, I think that this Iran conflict is gonna go on for months. I wouldn't be surprised if when it's summertime, like June, July, it's still gonna be going on.
You doing this?
Was the bombing of North Korea during the Korean War unjustified? No, because North Korea had invaded South Korea, and so like the United Nations basically declared what North Korea was doing was an illegal act. Now, of course, bombing civilians is wrong, like, you know, anything like that. But if we're just talking like the invasion of North Korea, no, it was pretty justified with what happened with that. It was North Korea that started that war. But this current war that's going on with Iran right now, this is just stupid. I don't think this should have ever happened. I don't think we should have ever gotten involved in that. But this is going to have a massive effect on the, you know, global oil supply. The economy is going to go really bad. Inflation is going to get out of control. I think this is going to be really bad. North Korea says to their people it was South Korea who started the war. Oh, I know that. I'm aware of that, yeah. You know something else about North Korea? Do you know that North Korea actually minimizes how much China actually helped them? So one of the reasons that North Korea actually survived as a country was because of China. If China did not get involved, the North Korean government would not exist today. But North Korea in their own education system actually downplay how much China actually helped them. They act like they defeated the Americans all on their own. see if I can get there before 26 minutes and 30 seconds. I think I might be able to if I really push this here. I got NPC drivers. Brandon, get your heist ready, please, because I'm going to help you right after this. Big Con artwork? Okay. Well, you can do it just us two. But get ready to invite me and I'll help you. Do you still curse in your daily life? Sometimes it might maybe occasionally happen, but I try to limit it. Do you write down ideas when you're free? No, most of the time the ideas I have are in my head. When I write things down, it's when I'm writing a script. Okay, Brandon, invite me. Yeah, I like the whole story in Black Ops 1, Black Hawk. Well, the Korean War wasn't a win or a loss. Yeah, I mean, I would say the U.S. did accomplish its objective, which was to save South Korea. Brandon, can you invite me?
मेरी यादों में मेरे ख्वाबों में रोज आते हो तुम इस तरह.
Where'd I get the discipline for that? It just happened. I guess I just did not want to curse anymore, and it just. Oh wait, what is this? Oh, it's not. I thought it was the heist invite. Brandon, are you inviting me?
It's
Okay, there we go. Why not just retire from grinding and have a good time? I have. I don't really grind anymore. I just help people out. South Korea's president wants talks with the North Korea? No. Honestly speaking, you know what South Korea should honestly tell North Korea at this point? They should tell them to go F themselves. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that, because so many times South Korea has tried to negotiate with North Korea, and it's like negotiating with North Korea is one of the stupidest things that you can possibly do. It's better. It's the reason that it sucks so much to negotiate with a country like North Korea is because when it comes to North Korea, is countries will negotiate with them, they'll make some kind of agreement, and then within a couple months of that agreement, they'll start testing missiles again, they'll start threatening countries, and then what? They will demand more. And then they'll make another agreement, and then after a couple months, they start making more missile tests, start threatening more countries, doing more bad things, and then they want another deal. And they just keep doing that. They make a deal, and then a couple months later, they start threatening people, and then they want another deal. And when North Korea blew up that South Korean building, because South Korea built a building in North Korea, and the building that they built was for diplomatic talks, and North Korea just blew it up. Like, they recorded it, and they blew it up, and they, like, posted it on their propaganda TV. At that point, honestly, is South Korea should have just told North Korea, go F yourself, is we are done talking. We're not going to negotiate with you. We're not going to talk to you. I'm not saying that to declare war on them, but to specifically say, we're done talking. We're not going to talk to you anymore ever again. Because there's no point, because every single time they negotiate with them, North Korea always goes back on their agreement after a couple months. So the South Korean president wanting to negotiate with North Korea, no, don't do it, because it's literally they're not going to fulfill their agreement. It's in a couple months something is going to go wrong again. So literally, they should just tell them to go F themselves. That's honestly what they should tell them. And if you've seen the way that North Korea talks about the South Koreans, like the Kim Jong Un's sister, she's a really despicable person. Like she says that South Koreans are like parasites. She says that they're greedy capitalists, a bunch of this other nonsense crap. Like the way that she just talks about South Koreans constantly, South Korea should just not negotiate with North Korea ever again. There's no point. Because the only reason that North Korea has been bullying people as much as it does is because they know they constantly can get something from somebody. And people will give in to their demands, and they say no more. What do you think of J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI director? What do I think happened to the dinosaurs? They got wiped out by a meteor? You still play Saints Row 2 in your free time? I haven't played in a couple months, but... How many years would you say it requires to make a constant living out of YouTube if you're consistent? Well, to make a living off YouTube, it's not relevant on the amount of years. It's basically all based on views and subscribers, because somebody could be on YouTube for years and not get that many views and subscribers, and they can't make a living. And then somebody could be on YouTube for just a couple months and gain a ton of subscribers and make a living off of it. So it all really depends on views and subscribers. I know, Fidelity, right, Brandon? I got put on Fidelity. Have you ever seen Disgusting Russian Propaganda, Sasha Meets Russia? No, I've never heard of that before.
I thought you were gonna get shot in the face for a second there. Okay, now get in the elevator and remember, inconspicuous.
I don't really have any, Hamzat. Okay, let's see if we can make this.
Howdy. You looking for the vault? Right up ahead.
Yes, Eisenhower did warn us about the military-industrial complex.
You're gonna need your key cards to get into the man trap there.
Swipe.
Two-card system. Swipe at the same time. Yes! Come on! How much better does it feel when the marks are this dumb? Keep going!
I don't really, Oh, I shouldn't be jumping in here, right? That could cause the glitch. I don't know, Adrian.
Okay, so far so bueno. Push on to the vault. There'll be a guard there to meet you.
Brandon, skip the cutscene, please. And I'm gonna get everything on the left side.
Oh, you're here. Why didn't they say something? Man, they never tell me nothing, you know? I'll get it open for you.
Brandon, please skip this cutscene.
Hey, that art looks expensive to me. Let's give it a new home. Good news. Seeing as we
Okay, here we go. Let's do this.
have a little more time here. Now, your hacker can block the security sensors while you're in the vault, but only for a while. If the system goes quiet for too long, it triggers the alarm as a failsafe. And, did I mention that if the alarm goes off in here, they'll flood the...
Do you ever find yourself busy all day, or you still have some free time? I have some free time.
I'm mentioning it now. If you're making good
Occasionally,
try getting into some of the lockboxes.
Okay, there we go. That should open that. Will I play Dead Rising 2? Yes, that will be at the beginning of May when we'll begin doing that. Yes. Thank you, DJ and Andrea. Thank you for the super chat. Did I like JFK? I think he did some good things. I think that the I think this. What I think the worst mistake that JFK made is that JFK did not send the Air Force to bomb Castro. I think that was probably the worst mistake he made. And I'm not talking about during the Cuban Missile Crisis. I'm talking about before that, because you had the Bay of Pigs invasion, which what the Bay of Pigs invasion basically was is they took thousands of Cuban refugees, and what they had done is the CIA had armed them given them some training and put them on the shores of at the Bay of Pigs on southern Cuba. And the problem with that is that that area was very swampy. A lot of their tanks got stuck, and they got surrounded pretty quickly. And what ended up happening is the CIA, instead of like backing up the people that they supported, they basically just pulled out and pretended like they had nothing to do with that. And one of the reasons was because Kennedy was really against sending the Air Force in. Kennedy did not want to send the Air Force in because he was scared that the United States would be accused of imperialism. But honestly, who cares if the United States was accused of imperialism for something like that? Because those people needed our help. They did. And so like the CIA betrayed those people. Like they armed a bunch of Cuban refugees, put them on the shores of southern Cuba, and expected that Castro would just get overthrown like that. And all those people got captured. They got tortured in prisons by the communists, and the CIA just abandoned all those people. So it's like, that's one of the big f-ups that Kennedy had, was that he did not he should have sent the Air Force in and just bombed the hell out of Castro. He should have just done that, and that would have at least helped the Bay of Pigs invasion. Maybe Cuba would not be a communist country today if that had happened. You make this look easy. Well, thank you, Phoenix. Oh, Brandon,
30 seconds.
It's not enough time. It's not enough. Okay, we're...
20 seconds left. Don't dawdle.
It's not enough time. We gotta get out now, Brandon.
Get out before they smell a rat. Gas incoming. 10 seconds.
Brandon, you gotta get out now.
Time's up. Here comes the nerve agent. Get the hell out of there before you get a lung fall.
Oh no, come on. Oh, that was close, okay.
Still under the radar. Perfect. Perfect. People, that is
Swipe.
mother load. We cleaned them out. Okay, let's see if we can make the way out as smooth as the way in.
Do you like to work out? Not really, but I do it because I want to be fit. The problem with working out is that what's always the hardest for me is to get into the mood to work out. That's the hardest for me, is trying to get into the mood to work out. Gun out, it doesn't really matter, Brandon. You can have the gun out because you're armed security. You're armored car security.
All right, now stay calm. Back the way you came through the checkpoint. Nothing to see here.
Y'all done in here? Hey, listen, that fella on the vault door, how'd he look? We snuck a double-strength laxative in his coffee. He'll be shit.
Get in the cargo elevator and use your key card. Play it cool. Back the way we came is too risky now that you're carrying the loot. Let's fall back to the rear door.
Let's do it. Here. Do you like to listen to music when you're working out? No, most of the time I like to listen to videos. Are you an early bird or late riser? I usually go to bed pretty late.
Seen what you did to the vault, and now the whole place is locking down fast.
The thing is people are born with that, though, people are born either early birds or night owls.
Look busy and shout LSFD if anyone gets in your way. They're closing in on us. We need to pick up the pace.
Ah, crap.
Security is sweeping the whole building. Stay one step ahead, or this whole thing.
Brandon, just go. Go, run, just go. That guy saw me around the corner really quick.
Right now.
Got some heavy chatter on the police frequencies.
That was my bad, sorry.
Noose.
Brandon, go. Just go.
Lame motherfucker!
Come on, we got this.
Yeah, I'll turn on performance mode now. My dad does the diet where you eat once a day. It has really helped him out. I don't know if I could do that. That's... Are you a morning person? No, not really.
Getaway cars, go! The driver has them in position.
Oh, Isaiah supported, super chatted this. Do you support abolishing the TSA? Oh, hey, I'm sorry, Isaiah, I didn't see your super chat. I apologize, man. abolishing the TSA, the Transport Safety Administration, the people in charge of at the airports. What I think about it is that I think that crap. I'm just trying to think of something. I think that some of the TSA policies are like stupid, like, you know, for example, like needing to take a belt off, like when you're going through the I don't know why they need to take a belt off. And also on top of that is the other policy with the TSA, the stupidest one was the no drinks policy. You can't bring water on a plane, which I understand that the reason that policy is in is because they're concerned about like bomb fluids being in like liquids and stuff like that. But the thing is, with the technology that they have these days, they should have scanners and stuff like that to be able to detect that. So that's what's so stupid, is that if the airport is not going to let you bring in water, then they should provide water bottles to you, like literally when you then they should give water to you right after you're done, right after you get through TSA security, because that is just something I never liked about that.
Okay, the decoys are go. They're splitting up to cover it. Now's your chance.
So I don't know if necessarily abolish it, but there should be certain changes. Like I do fly to visit my family every couple months, and one thing that I do like that they changed is that you don't need to take your shoes off anymore. I do like that. So shoes, you don't need to take shoes off when you're going through that. Ah, crap.
Do you know how a decoy works? You're supposed to drive the other way. Wow, we really kicked the hornet's nest. It's amazing.
You can contain viruses in those. In what, liquid? Sure, but the thing about that is you could contain viruses in anything else. You could contain viruses in food, and you can bring food on planes, but you can't bring water on planes. Are you on Xbox or PlayStation? Well, I have both of them, but I'm playing on PlayStation right now. I do play Fallout 76. I gotta do another stream when I get the chance. But that's the way I think, is that the amount of security and like technology we have these days, we should be able to scan liquids to see if you can bring that on a plane. If anything, they could make a policy where it's just water that you can bring. You cannot bring any other liquid besides water. You know, and it has to be sealed or something like that. But that's oh, already lost the cops. We can just take this. I'll see you, GTA Gar.
Sure, I'm not whatever they told you, but hear me when I say that we are on the verge of pulling off the single greatest feat of organized criminality this city has ever seen. Admittedly, I'm knocking myself off the top spot, but that doesn't matter. We are seconds away from the history books, my friends. I wasn't sure I should come out of retirement, but professionally at least, it looks like a good call, yeah? Now, did someone say tequila? Almost there. Find the buyer, and this is a done deal.
It's okay, Brandon. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Do I watch anime? Sometimes. Is there truly a victimless crime? I mean, there are certain crimes that don't involve victims. I mean, like speeding, for example. Speeding is technically a crime, or it's more of a violation, but it can be a crime depending on how fast you're going. But at the same time, as you can make the argument that it's not a victimless crime because you're endangering others by speeding. But there are, you know, crimes people commit without, like, I mean, tax fraud. You can make the argument that tax fraud is victimless crime. I mean, maybe the government is getting scammed, but it's not, it's not like the person is stealing from other people. So it really depends. Do you like the idols from Saints Row? No. I don't like most of the gangs in the Saints Row reboot. The only gang I somewhat liked was maybe the Panteros, but the Panteros ended up sucking in the end too. Assassin's Creed Unity got a PS5 patch recently? Wow, I didn't know that. What a coincidence. You were talking about the French Revolution, and I've been playing Assassin's Creed Unity with the recent PS5 patch. Oh. Well, thank you, Timarku, for the super chat. Are you French by any chance? That sounds like a very French name that you have. Timarku. I don't like most of the gangs in the Saints Row reboot. Gangsters should always care about their carbon footprint. Oh, man. Okay, I gotta mute this so the music is gonna be... Who do I think was a worse monarch, Wilhelm II or Victor Emmanuel III? Is it difficult to breathe in that mask? No. Victor Emmanuel, because he just completely caused Italy to fall apart. What's your question, Minion? What's my real name, Patrick? Thoughts on the definitive edition? I think it's much better than what it launched with. We should be able to play GTA 4 on PS5, Steph, yeah. Thomas Sankara, isn't that the guy that's in the beret? He wears the beret a lot of times. I think that's him, right? Yes, it was the guy who was no, that guy, I know the guy you're talking about. He was a communist. I don't know too much about him. I just know that the guy was a communist. But yes, I know who you're talking about. Good stream. See you in the party. Like, thanks. No problem, Brandon. Patrick is an Irish name. Yeah, but I'm not Irish, though. Did I like the Ronin storyline? Yeah. I wish that, that we could play every single game, backwards compatibility. Like, we should be able to play PS3 games at least, but we don't. Oh, finally, it's over. The white screen's done. Yes, they did mention them. The anarchist revolutionaries were big in Mafia, the Old Country. What's for dinner? I don't know yet. But I guess I'm gonna probably wrap the stream up here, guys. I will still answer any questions before I go. So before I go, I'll answer some questions. If you guys want to ask me anything before I go, I'll answer your questions. Am I gonna live stream GTA 6 playing the story?